You're listening to Fight Night Extra on talkSPORT 2 with me, Gareth Davis, and the one and only former world champion, Barry Jones, who is on hot form as always. Why isn't he out here with me? It's the first Saudi back card in America. His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh has brought the whole team out here. It's been amazing here this week. I've been here 24 hours. There's events down on the beach. Santa Monica is the place they're using. We're going to the Chinese Theatre in Hollywood for the press conference tomorrow. They're using all the backdrops. We've got 3 fights tonight down on the beach, and that's not just the punters. There's actual 3 proper fights in a ring after we've had the fighter workouts. We've had Eddie Hearn having rows with Terence Crawford, and it feels like a really big build-up. As Barry knows, Los Angeles is one of those tinder boxes, if you like, for big fight nights. We've had some amazing events here over the years. I'm half expecting Oscar De La Hoya to pop up this week. I know that His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh has been to see De La Hoya. We know that the Saudi Arabians are getting they're sponsoring top-ranked cards. Bob Arum's company. We know he's got a relationship now with Oscar De La Hoya. We've seen His Excellency down at the Wildcard gym down the road, where Manny Pacquiao and Amir Khan used to work out there, obviously with Freddie Roach. Terence Crawford spoke to our own Adi Oladipo yesterday. He says this is a bigger fight this weekend against Israel Madrimov than the Errol Spence fight.
No, nowhere near a bigger fight.
So, Barry, you think it isn't? Why?
Because that was the closest thing we'd had to Leonard and Hearns since Leonard and Hearns. So
even though it was a disappointment on the night, don't get me wrong, disappointment in terms of how he dominated.
I thought it was one of the best one-sided fights I've ever seen.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
From ringside,
fair enough.
It was a phenomenal display, and we can argue how Errol Spence maybe since the crash was never the same, but I don't know about that. I think Crawford was just on fire. I think he was flawless, and that meant more. I thought in the boxing world. This is a big and a hard fight for him. This is don't forget a lightweight who's moved. He was a massive lightweight, but still a lightweight who's now a super welter, which is
we never knew when he beat Ricky Burns in Glasgow that he was going to be this, did we?
Of course, that's the beauty of boxing, especially boxing. Now you just know, no, even the fighters not quite. Even the ones who think they're going to be great are not quite sure they're going to be. They're surprising themselves as they go along. I think. I thought welterweight was going to be a stretch for him. That's what I thought, to be honest. Because at super lightweight, even though he unified, he had undisputed in that weight class. It wasn't the most difficult of weight classes. He just got it at the right time where there was a void of real top quality opposition. So he breezed through that easily. I just thought the welterweight would be a bit more of a problem, and he didn't really find any problems there. That's the truth of it. Errol Spence was meant to be the generational fight, and he dominated it and he beat them out of his own game at times, and did what Spence did against other fighters and did to him. So that was a bigger fight for me. That was a huge. That fight was so big. I went out there with no work, and I got work when I was up. I was going anyway, regardless.
You were busking, basically, weren't you? And you busked your way all the way to the ring. I love that. I love that. I love it.
I had the right result. Financially, I didn't put the most weekends normally, but still, it was a fight I just wanted to go to. I thought, but you're right. It wasn't the competitive fight that we expected, but it was still a.
Crawford was too good. Crawford was too good.
So this fight now against Madrimov is a dangerous fight for him, but I see Crawford having few problems. I don't see him having that many problems. I think it's going to be very cagey for a little while, but I think the second half he goes to work. I think Madrimov is a really good fight. I was ringside for his last fight against Kurbanov, and he was absolutely beautiful to watch.
He is, but
yes, that's right. Thank you.
Seeing the two of them together, he's not a lot bigger than Crawford anyway. Crawford's put on a lot of muscle mass and looks fantastic. Yeah. I think I can't remember what it was. I think Sean Porter was talking about this a few days ago, and he has genuinely very cleverly put on muscle mass. But I'm throwing this to you as a former boxer. You look at the vast experience Crawford has had, and particularly after that Errol Spence fight, where, like you say, that was a fight for the ages. It was a fight for American soil, bragging rights, really, really big event. He carried himself brilliantly that night and was peerless, in my view. And I think that put him at the top of the pound-for-pound list at the time. But who has Madrimov really fought?
Yeah, we got Michel Sorrell twice. He got some good wins in his career, and obviously Kurbanov was a good fighter, or Kurbanov was a good fighter, but nowhere near. But then again, you always have that until you beat the guy. So, like Crawford had that at one point, and he had to beat the guy, who had more experience than he had. Sean Porter, fine example. Who he boxed compared to Sean Porter. That's the truth of it. So that you always get to that point. I mean, you're banking on Madrimov being naturally stronger and bigger and being fresher. That's what I think. And
I think Crawford will pick him off on the way in. I just think he will. I think as Madrimov is bullish, I think it'll be Matador and Bull, Barry.
I think he wins wide. I think it's a competitive fight throughout.
8-4.
I think he wins really wide. I think he goes to points, and I think he dominates. I really do. Certainly the second half. He won't take any risks early, and then once he figures him out, I think he goes to it. Madrimov's footwork is very, very good. But Crawford has such a long reach, and he uses so well. And the way he can jump in and out of the target, Crawford, I think Madrimov will struggle with that.
Crawford's really reaching that promotional peak in himself. Like I was mentioning when he came to fight Ricky Burns in London, even when he was fighting people like Amir Khan and Cal Brook, that's only a couple of 3 years ago. He wasn't out of himself like he is now. He was on Logan Paul's podcast. He was brilliant this week on that. He's been in the WWE, as I say, but on with Andre Ward. He's learnt to be a public figure. And I wish he'd done more of it earlier on in his career as well.
Because he always had self-belief. Going to Glasgow to box Ricky Burns is the champion, by the way, and with no fear at all. He didn't care. I mean, you have to take your opportunities, but he could have waited in Omaha, which he sold quite well in Omaha. Could have stayed there and waited for someone to come over to him, but he didn't. He wanted to go there and beat the champion in his backyard.
Barry, before we look at the undercard very quickly, we've got a few minutes before we go to break. Let's throw forward. Let's say he looks majestic against Madrimov and wins 9-3 or gets a late stoppage, or because he's spiteful when he's got someone hurt, remember, as well. He likes to go for the finish. If he gets Madrimov hurt, he won't sit back. He will go in there and finish him. How do we see, because we know they're building towards it, we know that Canelo is fighting, Saul Canelo Alvarez is fighting Edgar Berlanga later on in the year or in the autumn. How do we see Terence Crawford against Canelo?
It's a massive ask. Again, you're sort of doing the reverse what you're doing with Madrimov. You're hoping that Canelo slowed down a little bit. He's still effective, he's still brilliant, but he's slowed down in his work rate. The Canelo box Golovkin twice no longer exists. He can't fire in that sort of a heat anymore. But he's still big, strong, and he's clever, and he's a guy who has great judgment at distance, naturally bigger as well. Let's not forget that. So. And also, he won't give away anything. Crawford's got to go to 168. No, it won't be a catch weight.
Correct.
Because Canelo doesn't need to do that. You got to come right to you got to come to 168 or heavier. I don't know what he might say 175.
He can't. He can't.
He won't. But what I'm saying is, Canelo can say what he wants. If you want to,
they've got to do a weight check for me. They've got to keep it. They've got to keep him below 170.
I think so, but I mean, what I'm saying, the whole point is that whatever he says goes if he wants to fight.
Yeah.
I think Crawford will take it because it's the biggest fight he can ever have financially. And also, with his athleticism, he always got a chance. I think.
Well, we know His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh's backing it. So these guys, we know Canelo earns 30-odd million a fight. We know that Terence is probably going to get 20-odd for this, 20-25. He's going to get his biggest payday ever. I just have a feeling we're going to get a Hagler-Leonard type of fight where Terence just shows his boxing skills, where he's just going to take those big punches on it. I don't know, I'm dreaming here. Let's move on. Andy Ruiz and Jarrell Miller. I've seen the boys together already. They look like old pals. Andy Ruiz away for nearly 2 years. That's the big test here for me. Has he still got it? The slayer of Anthony Joshua on his American debut, of course, against Jarrell Miller. Fun heavyweight fight, this one.
Yeah, it is a good fight. And if Ruiz is not massively overweight, he has the speed of hand and foot to dance rings around Miller. I do believe that. But if he comes in out of shape anywhere near like he did against Joshua in the second fight, and he's a target to be hit, Miller could knock him out. Or not so knock him out, batter him into submission.
Yeah.
But I think Ruiz technically is a very good fighter. Fast hands, fast feet, and can punch.
It's just his carriage looks like a barrel. He's a Billy Bunter, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's always been like that. But it's just how big he does go. That in the Joshua second fight, I think he put more weight on in training camp than he did before he went into training.
Well, people thought he was carrying weights in his pockets because they couldn't believe he was 21 stone. Jared Anderson against Martin Bakole. Again, setting the scene here. Wow. Bacole's bringing heat. I just think Jared Anderson, who's regarded as probably the rising heavyweight star in America, with maybe Deontay Wilder having given up the ghost, if I'm honest, Anderson looks really up for it. And I really feel he's going to step up against Bakole and really show us how good he is. Because Martin Bakole looks like a man made out of bowling balls. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, he's got massive thighs, massive calves, massive arms, huge head, big shoulders, massive back. And wow, they went nose to nose yesterday and it was thrilling.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's full of belief as well, Matt Bakole. And the way he beat, what's his name, the last one in Saudi, which he hadn't boxed for a long time, but he was so destructive, even though he was overweight because he hadn't been able to train. The thing with Anderson, I was saying Anderson was...
Carlos Takam, I think it was.
Carlos Takam. With Anderson, like I was saying, he's the future of the division. For ages ago, I was saying this, a couple of years ago. His life outside the ring has stalled that a bit. But I think he's had those right fights where he hasn't looked great. And they've given him a wake-up call. If he can be disciplined outside the ring, he has the athleticism, the ability, the speed and the power to be a real force. And I think he gets it right, I do. I do as well. With Bakole, you've got to box him to frustrate him, and then he'll make mistakes. If you try
Don't let him bulldoze you. You can't let him bulldoze you.
And I think Anderson has enough ability and footwork and the way he slips and slides.
Completely agree.
From the southpaw stance on the clinic. But like everyone else is saying, and I think me and you might be in the minority thinking that Anderson puts on a clinic, but most people are thinking that Bakole, this is the wrong fight for Anderson. Bakole can walk right through.
No, I think it's the right fight for him. This is the fight where he steps out and people go, I see. That's why there's all the fuss about him.
Even though this is not a top-rank card, this is how top-rank promote their fighters. Once you start acting up, you get so many fights, and they go, show us what you got, or you go down a level. That's the way they look at it. They invest in you, but you have to prove yourself. And this is the fight where he has to prove himself, or he'll go massively down that pecking order of promotional favourites.
I think the pressure on him from Bakole will create a Diamond Anderson on Saturday night. Isaac Cruz and Jose Valenzuela for Cruz's WBA, Pitbull Cruz, of course, for his WBA super lightweight title. Andy Cruz against Antonio Moran at lightweight. It's a brilliant card, Barry, and they all stepped up yesterday. Andy Cruz came in and was a super cool cat as he is.
Him, hasn't he?
But Pitbull Cruz against Valenzuela, that could well be the fight of the night.
That's a hard fight for Cruz. I tell you, a really hard fight because even though he's like Pitbull Cruz, he's 100 miles an hour, but he's hittable, and he'll
6 inches shorter as well.
Yeah, well, he's like that for everyone. When he boxed Cabrera, I think was his last fight. Then the difference there was crazy. It was like 4 different weight classes. It looked like, but he's relentless on you all the time. But Venezuela can punch, and if he walks onto a shot, he's in trouble. But I do think Cruz finds his way to a victory there. I think he gets the win, and he moves on to bigger things.
If you aren't excited about this card now, you're never going to be. That's how good it is on Saturday night. I'm out here for talkSPORT, bringing you all the best I can on the night. I wish the fight was going on in the beach, not at the stadium. You're listening to Fight Night Extra on talkSPORT 2.